Contractors of Colorado, it's good to see you again. It's Andrew Lavrins, your host here of the Contractors of Colorado Podcast. Our guest today is Moe Aduan with Centennial Accounting Group. Before we get started, as always, a shout out to our sponsors, the Business Foundry here, hosting our podcast, of course, in the media room. They are our business accelerator partner. So anything that you need for your business to grow, whether it be financial consulting and some advice on that side, which we'll get into today, to marketing, to mentorship in terms of a business plan or a business strategy. We're here to help out with all of that. So thank you to them. Also, the Builders Outlet for sponsoring this podcast. Really appreciate your support. It's a material warehouse up in Denver for cabinets, doors, windows, trim, anything you might need. Reach out to them and mention you're with the Contractors of Colorado. They will take care of you. All right. Well, let's get started. Moe, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
Wonderful.
I want to start this thing off by giving you an opportunity to talk a little bit about yourself. We normally jump straight into business, but I want to hear about you. You know, what are your hobbies? You have a family?
I do. I have two amazing boys who actually make fun of my accent. So, but the joke on them, I make sure they repeat the same word that they're laughing at multiple times so I can learn it.
There you go.
And say it right.
There you go.
So they stopped doing that lately.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about that. You have an accent. Where are you from?
I do. I was born in Amman, Jordan. I'm Palestinian. And I moved to the United States when I was 17 to San Francisco, where I was a taxi driver. And then I finished my education out of CU Denver. Emphasis in accounting. And then I started my first accounting firm in 2009. And then by 2014, we had 10 accountants working for us, and we kept scaling and growing this accounting business and saving people money in taxes and so on and so forth.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's quite literally the American dream that so many of us talk about.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, on that note, tell us a little bit about Centennial Accounting Group. You do taxes, as you mentioned, some accounting services. Tell us a little bit about that. How long have you been working there? Sure.
So Centennial Accounting Group is the new version of our old parent company that we established in 2009. So it's coming to a 16-year, basically, 15-year business of serving the Denver and the metro area. So we do over 2,000 tax returns a year. We help hundreds of business owners of making sure their accounting is up to date. The way we do that is we emphasize in investing in the business. We are almost partners with you to make sure you get your stuff done correctly. And also we guarantee our work all the time to make sure things done correctly at a reasonable price. That's our motto, and that's how we grow this business.
That's awesome. You have a location in Cherry Creek, correct?
That's correct. Our location is in the heart of Cherry Creek, and our clients mostly coming from the Denver area, metro area, but we do service clients in other states as well. We have a lot of clients in Florida. We have remote office in San Francisco that we cater to as well, and so on and so forth.
Wonderful. Well, there you go, contractors. If you're out of the Denver area, you still can reach out and seems like be very well taken care of.
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. What got you into working with small businesses, contractors specifically?
Contractors are really ideal clients, and I'll tell you why. Because I am a small business myself. That's how I started. So I know the pain and the learning curve that you go through and the roller coaster you're living through when it comes to taxation, financial structure in the business to make sure the business is structured correctly. So I lived through that and somehow I attracted that type of clientele. And then I start focusing on that clientele and catering to it. So we spend a lot of energy and time serving the contractor community from tax saving tips, from ways how to structure your business. Should it be an LLC? Should it be an S corporation? How can you save, basically? Can I give you an example?
Please.
Okay, so I have a client who came to me, and he's making about $120,000 a year. No big deal. He has an LLC. He's doing his taxes. His tax liability, being treated as an LLC, sole proprietorship, is basically about $35,000, state and federal all combined. If I switched him to an S corp, which I did switch him to an S corp, he avoided the self-employment taxation. His taxes on the same amount was $17,000. So I saved him $17,000 by small switch.
Yeah.
Just filing with the IRS and restructuring his company, basically.
Yeah.
So it's really important to know and select the right entity. And I think contractors need that because they're so busy. They're running a business. They're running all over the place. They're helping their clients, and they don't have time to focus on that. So we found a niche, and we really focused on it, and we dialed it down. So what we do, provide our contractors with worksheets that they can help them with their soft copies or hard copies to keep in their car to fill out, to make sure none of those deductions not being used. Like, we making sure those are being used, and they take advantage of every tax saving out there.
That's one of the reasons I kept thinking of, that's exactly why I want you here. And you just kept taking the words out of my mouth. I mean, that's huge in this community, is the understanding that you don't have to be an expert. If I feel like I'm a broken record when I bring on our verified affiliates, because you all bring such a specialty to this organization where we all know contractors are busy, and we all know that this can be very complicated, and it gets scary, even for myself. This is some stuff that I don't fully understand it. So to have a trusted partner in my corner that I can rely on to walk me through it in a way that's understandable, and then execute on the things that make the most sense for my business so that I can stay involved in my day-to-day. And just thank you for being here. I mean, it's a real pleasure to have you as a verified member of the group.
Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate it.
Of course.
And looking forward to serve this community and be part of it.
Awesome, yeah. Any common, high-level situations or advice that you could give to the contractors, things that you commonly run into that you can share with us?
Oh, absolutely. I love this question. There's so many things contractors can do, and it's just small things to really lower their tax burden, number one, but number two, be audit-proof. Because one of the main fears I run into with my contractors when I'm consulting them, their fear is basically the IRS coming after me. That's one thing. Second thing is cash flow. They're always struggling because sometimes they have tons of money, sometimes they don't have any money. So what we do, and when tax time comes, sometimes they don't have any money to pay their taxes. So what we do is we plan, we thrive in planning ahead, basically. We know how much you're going to owe in the end of the year based on the contracts you have in, based on the type of business you're doing. So we're going to make estimates. And the beauty about all this, we do not charge extra or hourly for any of this work. We charge you only when we do the actual tax return or the accounting work. So we're not going to nickel you and penny you, basically, to try and just to get you there. If you're coming for an advice, it's free. And that's how I was able to grow my business 30% each year for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
The issues they run into with is cash flow a lot of times. And then also they don't know when to stop. A lot of contractors, they keep going and going and going. Sometimes we have to do a budget and look at their project and say, you gotta stop. Here's where you stop. You're not doing it. So a lot of times, a lot of the issue they run into is being able to stop when you need to stop.
Yep.
Not to grow, but stop.
Yeah. And I think that plays really well with a lot of other affiliates that we have in the group, is understanding, okay, there's tax advantages to making certain decisions, and you want to be educated on them, and that's where you come in. Yeah. And then there's also day-to-day strategy where you need to for example, a couple weeks ago, we had our fleet vehicle verified affiliate come in, Jake Bernhardt. Jake helps companies acquire vehicles. He's in vehicle sales. So playing with him and understanding how it works and hey, it would be advantageous for you to go ahead and purchase this vehicle. It's time to go ahead and talk to Jake. So these are the type of connections that really I'm excited. The value that you bring to the group here is now we can start utilizing everything you do enhances a lot of other verified affiliates within our group. So again, welcome.
Absolutely. Speaking of vehicles, if I may add, that's one of the things that most contractors underplay. Because a lot of time they get stuck with the same vehicle, but they don't understand buying a new vehicle, if it's over 7,500 pounds, you get to use Section 197, which is you can take the maximum depreciation on that. Sometimes having the vehicle actually pays for itself.
Yeah,
it just depends on the business, and that's an area way underserved when it comes to contractor. So we look into all that when we do our tax strategy in October with every client, and start preparing to wrap up the taxes. We focus on that depreciation and making sure they have enough depreciation to avoid paying the maximum amount of taxes.
I love to hear it. The contractors, you're going to like this guy. I'm telling you, there's a lot that is very advantageous that you can do that. We know it. A lot of us as contractors, we know that these are the right moves to make. But again, it feels over our heads, or we don't fully understand it, or we have those fears of, there's no way that I can do this. The IRS is going to come for me. No, there's advantages you can take as a small business owner and as a contractor that can help out, like purchasing a vehicle. So perfect. Thank you for mentioning that one. In our last few minutes here, is there anything else you wanted to share that you can really help this community with, or talk a little bit more about you? I know it's a family business. You run it with your brother, Yusef.
Yes, Yusef runs the business now, and he's doing a great job at it.
Yeah.
He's doing the business development and growing it so fast.
Yeah, he's another great guy. So I hope the community can meet him as well.
Yes.
We'll have him on here at some point too.
Definitely.
He was... Anytime, it's just you're in such a niche industry. Anytime that we start talking, it's a specialty. So talking with Yusef, there was things coming up that I was like, wow, I feel like I know a lot about this, but I didn't know that. So we're really excited to have you. Any final thoughts?
Here. Yeah, I think if you're a business owner in Colorado, there's a lot of resources out there. Make sure to take advantage of it, whether you come to me or not. Talk to your accountant about depreciation. Talk to your accountant about tax saving and planning ahead, especially if you're a contractor. One of the last things I want to focus on, make sure you have the right entity set up. Is it an LLC? Is it a partnership? Is it an S corporation? It's so important to have the right entity for two reasons. Reason number one is taxes and tax saving. But reason number two, which is more important, is legal. Most people think if I have an LLC, I'm protected. It's so untrue. Unless the LLC is treated as an LLC and there's no commingling fund, and we know most of you contractors use business account for personal use. That's called commingling fund, which eliminates the value of the LLC. The second thing, if you have a business and the business is losing money, I don't want you to be an S corporation. I want you to be an LLC so you can carry those losses at face value at 100%. If you're making a lot of money, I want you to be an S corporation because you're taxed at a lower bracket and basically you're avoiding self-employment taxes.
Wonderful. I'm glad you brought that up here in our last few minutes. I've spoken with several of the attorneys that Yusef has introduced me to that you work with, just as when I was going through references and how you work with each other and everything like that. And one, they all had amazing things to say. But two, I was very impressed how you work hand in hand of, okay, now it's time to, there's advantages to being an S Corp. We have people that you can speak with that we work with closely that understand the complexity of this and do it well, and we can and we could trust and verify them and speak to them. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely.
Well, again, it was a pleasure having you. I'm going to do one last shout out here to our sponsors. Thank you to the Builders Outlet. Everything's doors, windows, cabinets, trims. If you are in the Denver Metro, or even the Front Range area, it is well worth your time to reach out to the Builders Outlet. They always take care of us at the Contractors of Colorado. And then thank you again again to the Business Foundry. Your Business Accelerator program is very impressive as a business. The Contractors of Colorado, being in it myself, things like this, the podcast, the marketing, the website that you're doing for us, the platforms you're building for the future of what the Contractors of Colorado is going to be, they're all very invaluable. Not even to mention the leadership, the mentorship, to help me understand myself better as an entrepreneur. So thank you. And then a final shout out to all of our affiliates. You all are great. You are no exception, Mo. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.